So Speaker McCarthy had 96% approval rating, but that wasn't good enough for you. Do you feel good about your vote?
Well, I don't know about 96%.
Well, they voted for
ask the people. Well, I don't work for the people in Congress. I work for the people of the 2nd District of Tennessee. And overwhelmingly, the folks are tired of the fact that we take in $5 trillion and we spend $7 trillion, that your leadership continues to pass these continuation resolutions. They push us right up against a holiday. Well, guess what? The 45-day one is pushed right up against it. We took off 6 weeks this summer. From August to, we usually just take off August, but they decided to take over 2 more weeks. And I feel like that's a failure of leadership. They're the ones who set the schedule. So, he's the speaker. Right. Ultimately, the buck stops somewhere, and diverting the attention somewhere else, I think, is just wrong.
So you realize this is the first time in history that this has been done. So you're upset about 6 weeks in the summer. Did you call him during the summer and say, can we get back to work?
I'm also upset at the fact we're $33 trillion in debt.
Is that
and
Kevin
the value
McCarthy's
of the dollar.
fault?
It could be. He needs to accept some responsibility.
Didn't he have an 8% cut offered over that in that continuing resolution bill?
And the rate of growth, but you're not looking at the 33 trillion, and that's really just peanuts compared to the 33 trillion that we've run up. You know, we continue. If you look at the bills that we did pass, the appropriations, the one that had the cut was the agriculture bill. And it didn't pass because the Republicans sided with Democrats, but yet the defense bill, which had, wait a minute, the defense bill that had $30 billion new dollars in the Pentagon, which has never passed an audit, which has lost at one time 60% of their assets. We reward them with $30 billion more dollars so the war pimps at the Pentagon can spread more war around the globe.
So because he didn't audit the Pentagon and get every appropriation bill done, you're going to make history by ousting him to move your agenda forward? Here's what Kevin McCarthy said about you.
I personally like Tim Burchett, and I called Tim Burchett because I read his quote. And Tim Burchett's a friend of mine, which I'm kind of shocked by this. And Tim Burchett, in his quote, said he's leaning towards no, he's on CNN, but I'm going to pray about it. So I pick up the phone and call him because I didn't think he was already there. I said, Tim, I read your quote. You said you're going to pray about it. I wanted to talk to you about it. And somehow he construes that I'm a Christian. I'm not going to offend somebody. I simply read his quote back. I thought there was still an opening, and I wanted to talk to him about it. He never mentioned anything when we were communicating like that.
So you said part of the reason you voted like that is because you felt he was mocking you, correct? So it's personal.
And that's not accurate, and that's any of that. I asked him about the 6 weeks off. I asked him about why we didn't have a term limits bill up, and continued on down the line, and it was always not his fault. You know, leadership has responsibilities. The buck stops somewhere, and in the House of Representatives, it starts at the Speaker's office, and clearly that's not happening. And clearly, you know, you want to continue to make excuses for him, but the truth is his approval rating around the country was not very high. And I don't represent the people of Congress.
Right,
I represent the people in Tennessee.
I got it. What do you think is going to do for the Republican Party and chances of holding on to leadership and the majority when it looks like you're the ringleader of a circus led by Matt Gaetz, who likes to blow things up but not offer any new ideas? Are you happy following Matt Gaetz? Is that your leader?
I'm not following Matt Gaetz. I made my own decision. I didn't ask Matt.
But if Matt Gaetz didn't challenge, you weren't going to challenge.
Do what?
If Matt Gaetz didn't stand up, you weren't going to challenge. You know that.
I believe I would have.
Oh, come on. Please. You were praying about it 1 minute. The next minute, you're going to lead an insurgency?
So you don't think that praying about it's important? Is that what you're saying?
One minute you're praying about how you're going to vote with Matt Gaetz. And the next minute you're going to lead an insurgency?
Listen, you got a predetermined answer to everything. I
have an opinion about what's going on. Do you have an opinion too?
And you talk over me every time I try to make a point.
All right, make your point.
The point is that we're $33 trillion in debt. This speaker was woefully lacking in leadership skills. He always placed the blame somewhere else. America is going to be better off with new leadership, and that's the bottom line.
And who is it?
Well, possibly could be Steve Scalise. It could be Elise Stefanik. It could be Roger Williams out of Texas. It could be Mark Green out of Tennessee.
So they all supported Kevin McCarthy, including the most conservative guy I know, Jim Jordan. Why are you smarter than Jim Jordan and the 210 plus Republicans? Why are you smarter?
I represent my district, brother. And why are you smarter than me? You're condemning me because I stand up on my own, and that's
I'm not condemning you. I'm questioning you. You don't like being questioned?
You're just the line of questioning is very negative, and you know that, and I know that. When this is all over with, and we have a new speaker and we're running smooth, let's have this conversation again.
Were you happy with John Boehner?
I wasn't here with John Boehner.
Right. With Paul Ryan?
They're both rhinos. I mean, why do you? They're not in my camp anyway. So I wasn't here when they were here.
So you had 15 yeses for every round you voted for Kevin McCarthy, but you think he's the problem?
Right now, I sure do. He's part of it. He's part of this whole problem. When you deny that there's a problem, in this dysfunctional Washington, brother, then you know there's a problem. You can't get past
there's a problem?
You can't get past the fact we take in $5 trillion, we spend $7 trillion, and leadership seem to be okay with that.
I'm fascinated the way you blame Kevin McCarthy that you're $33 trillion in debt, but you're going to get a new leader. I'm sure he's going to solve everything.
Well, I'm surprised that you give him full credit for all the successes that we've had, because
all I could say is for 9 months, I don't think you should take all the blame.
Well, why are we backing it up? We had 9 months, exactly. That's a great point. Why did we wait 9 months to do something about the wall, something about the budget, something about, well, we never did anything about term limits, which we promised the American public. I watched him for an hour and 15 minutes. He was doing an awful lot, but not enough for you. Tim Burchett, Congressman, thanks so much. Thank you, brother. It's been a pleasure.
Now, I'm hoping we get past Donald Trump by, say, January. You know, after Iowa, New Hampshire, maybe South Carolina. If you're a betting person, if you go to the Vegas odds, I'm sure they're saying he's probably get the nomination. I still think there's a reasonable chance he doesn't get the nomination.
If not Trump, who on the Republican side of the aisle?
And frankly, I don't know who it's going to be, but I think you'd say Haley, Scott, Pence, or DeSantis right now. But that's just odds. If any one of them gets the nomination, I think they win the presidency.